So Richard says sellers might send to Amazon a shipment that can cost $5,000, for example. Do sellers need to insure the shipment to protect his or her investment? If so, what is a good reputable insurance company for this purpose? If you have your receipt, would Amazon reimburse you your full investment? What steps to take if Amazon misplaces part of the shipment? Thanks again, the Q&A is helping me a lot. So great question, Richard. It really depends twofold, right? If you're ordering a shipment or you're doing a shipment into Amazon that's, $5,000, it's probably most likely a wholesale shipment, which is what I'm guessing. And then in that aspect, you're probably ordering from a wholesale company who's doing all the packaging or all the packing of the items, all the labeling of the items, the lot manifest and all that good stuff as well, and then shipping into FBA for you, right? So in that aspect, you're very rarely going to, because they packaged it, up to FBA standards and they're used to doing that, because they have a lot manifest and because everything in there has an itemized invoice with it that they're sending and matches the weight exactly, you're rarely going to run into that issue, at least in my experience, with a wholesale company when you're ordering in bulk, okay? Usually, in my experience, when people run into an issue where Amazon receives less items than they send in, supposedly, it's when you're doing the shipping into FBA yourself, right? It's when you're throwing a bunch of different various items into a box, and then, you might have 3 of one SKU, 5 of another SKU, 10 of another SKU, or maybe you even have like multiple boxes in your Amazon shipment and you ship them all in, and they're various items in different, SKUs and different amounts of those SKUs, right? So in that situation, what I would recommend that you do is, you want to label everything, okay? Label everything. I don't care if it doesn't prompt you to label it. Say that you're going to relabel it yourself and put the Amazon barcode on it, then print out all the barcodes when you're shipping into FBA and you're going through that process. That will pretty much ensure that they scan everything in properly. A lot of times is when not only are you shipping when people run into this issue, is when you're shipping items yourself into FBA and then you label some and you have Amazon label the other ones, or you label some and then you have, you leave the other ones as like the merchant barcode because you're not prompted to label them, right? So I would say first and foremost, label everything, okay? Secondly, take pictures of everything, and just keep them in like a folder on your iPhone. Now, I don't do this because I haven't ran into this issue a lot recently, especially as I've been moving more into wholesale, and a lot of my items are coming from wholesale companies or even ordering liquidation into Amazon sometimes. So I rarely see this issue. I used to see it a lot more when I did coupon products, when I'd send like 50 to like 100 items in like a couple boxes, and they were all different SKUs and different, amounts of those SKUs. So in that aspect, you're gonna see a little bit of discrepancy. So if you're doing that, which I don't think that you are, it sounds more like you're moving into like something like wholesale because you're saying $5,000. So, you're probably doing something more scalable like that. I would say take pictures of everything, right? So make sure that you label it with all the Amazon barcodes. Take pictures of everything in that box, then take pictures of the box on the scale weighing the amount that it does, right? And then if you're shipping it in right, you shouldn't really face that issue. Now, if you do face that issue and maybe you send in like 60 items and they've said that they received like 57 of them, right? And they're missing 3, then there is a way that you can do that. I think I'm pretty sure there's one in the course. Let me make sure. I know I've done multiple ones of this because obviously it updates frequently, like how you actually go about in the back end of Seller Central for claiming those items. It's the same process overall, it just switches a little bit differently when they update Seller Central. I made like 3 versions of that video, but let me check to make sure that that video is actually in the course, and then I'll point you in the direction that it is. So let me find it really fast. But that's what I'd obviously recommend that you do, right? I would just recommend that you claim, if for whatever reason they miss some of your shipments, then claim those items in that shipment that you ship them in, send the pictures for proof, and bam, they should reimburse you. Now, they might not reimburse you for what you thought that you could sell it for, but they will reimburse you for the retail value or whatever the buy box price or whatever they deem that you could sell it for, right? So you won't lose money on those. Let me find it really fast. It's probably in the Amazon tips module, and there is how Amazon shares the buy box. It doesn't look like I have it in here, so It doesn't look like I have it in here. So what I'm gonna do when I actually post this in the course Q&A, I'll drop that video in a comment directly below this for you. I know I've done a video on it on YouTube. I've done several of them. I'll find one. I'll link that video directly in the comments below for you. Check that out. But like I said, the easiest way is either order it from a wholesale company who's gonna have an itemized list of everything that they send in anyway, and you're rarely gonna find an issue with that. And if you do, obviously, then you could take it up with a wholesale company specifically, and the wholesale companies can send all their proof and data to Amazon. You won't really have an issue there, right? The second thing, like I said, to recap, is if you are shipping it yourself, make sure you label it, make sure you take pictures of everything, label everything, right? Take pictures of everything, make sure that you also take pictures of the box weight, and you shouldn't really face many issues with that as well if you're labeling everything. Although if you do, check the video directly below. That will allow you to claim in the back end of your Seller Central all your missing items, and then Amazon will reimburse you for them. They usually reimburse you 90 to 95% of the time, especially if it's not something that you're doing a lot, right? If you're sending in shipments and they're always missing an item here or there, then probably it's the way that you're sending the shipments in or something that you're doing. But if you send, a bunch of shipments in and they only miss an item here or there every once in a while, then you can claim in the back end of Seller Central, and they're gonna see your history of it, and they're not really gonna think twice about reimbursing you, for those missed items, if it's not like a pattern, okay? So good question. I hope that helps. We got one more question that just came in right as I was about to record this. So Mike says, hi, I wanna know your opinion on tactical arbitrage versus Source Mogul. I tried Source Mogul in the past and wasn't too impressed. Thanks. So honestly, they both work very, very similar. My honest opinion, they both work very, very similar. Now, obviously, I have an affiliate link for Source Mogul, so it's a little bit of an unbiased opinion there. That way, but that said, if we take the bias out as much as possible, I still think Source Mogul is better. Let me explain why, okay? Tactical arbitrage, you can do a lot more with tactical arbitrage, right? There's a bunch of different ways to source with tactical arbitrage that you cannot do with Source Mogul, okay? The reason I like Source Mogul myself is A, I've had a lot of success with it. B, it's super, super, super beginner friendly, right? You can learn and master Source Mogul in 20 to 30 minutes by watching one tutorial, if not less, and start sourcing immediately and start making money with Source Mogul. It's gonna take you days probably to master tactical arbitrage and all the ways to source with tactical arbitrage. And I know people that, have tried to spend weeks mastering tactical arbitrage and still don't get it, okay? So there's a lot of potential with tactical arbitrage. They do both of very, very similar things. You can source online arbitrage, you can source wholesale, you can reverse search with tactical. There's a bunch of different things to do it. I think Source Mogul is better because A, it's like I said, I've seen success with it. B, it's a lot more beginner friendly, so I like teaching Source Mogul a lot better. And C, I think, was it 1, 2 or A, B? I don't remember, but C or 3, ultimately, it's cheaper, right? So you're gonna get the wholesale with it, that comes with it, so you can scan, if you're already, if you're doing online arbitrage and then you plan on moving into wholesale, if you get tactical, or you get Source Mogul, you can just jump ahead for free into wholesale as well, right? It's included in the price of Source Mogul. And it's also cheaper, right? Whereas with tactical arbitrage, I'll put them up on the screen here in a second, and I'll break down all the individual pricings and the trials here. But with tactical arbitrage, it's more expensive, and you have to pay for both of them unless you go for the full suite of tactical arbitrage, which is a lot more expensive, right? So that's my opinion. It's easier to use for the most part. I've seen success with it, and I know a lot of people that have had success, not just in the course, but people that I also network with as well. So people use it all the time to make money. And on top of that, it's a lot cheaper, and wholesale comes with it. So I know that's easy to say. Let me break down the exact numbers from their websites right here, okay? So let me X out of this so I don't get confused here. So right here we have the tactical arbitrage pricing, and I will pop this picture up on the screen so that you can see it as I'm saying it, right? So I'm on monthly because I'm assuming the majority of people, at least in my experience, don't want to pay annually. Although if you do pay annually, obviously you can save a little bit more, but then you're pot committed for the entire year, which, if you're a beginner or you're trying to learn, is probably not necessarily something you want to do, right? I don't even pay annually for these services because I switch the way that I approach it around around so much. So like some months, like especially like pre-textbook season, I'll be like full into books and I'll be spending thousands of dollars into books. So I'm not really spending a lot of my money and my cash flow on like online arbitrage products or even wholesale products sometimes in those months, right? Sometimes I'm more into online arbitrage and I don't really want to source wholesale. A lot more recently, I've been moving into wholesale and I don't want to source the online arbitrage, right? So the whole reason I'm saying that is like, if you go, for example, for the full suite annual, you're going to be paying, and this is tactical arbitrage, you're going to be paying $90 a month, which is over $1,000 billed immediately, and you might not be, using all of those every single month, okay? So that's gonna automatically take you negative in the month, and then you have to make that back up, when you sell. Now, if we go to the monthly, like I said, because most of you, and myself included, are gonna be paying monthly, you'll see that if you go with the monthly, it's $90 a month roughly, or $89 a month for the online arbitrage package, which is generally what tactical arbitrage is when people think of it, okay? There's a bunch of different ways to source. If you go with the online arbitrage and the wholesale package here, it's gonna be $109 a month, and if you just go wholesale, it's going to be $70 a month, right? So if you want everything that Source Mogul offers you, then it's going to be $109 a month annually, right? Now, also with tactical arbitrage, there's a 7-day free trial, okay? So 7-day free trial, you're paying $109 a month. That's tactical arbitrage, right? Now, Source Mogul does 90% of what you're gonna need it to do versus tactical arbitrage, right? You can't necessarily do like reverse searching, but you can scan wholesale supplier lists, and you can also do, I think it's like it might be like 400, I'd have to look at the website, 400 of the most popular retail sites, and like hundreds of thousands of products, if not millions, I haven't checked, hundreds of thousands of products on the site that you can scan immediately like that, right? You don't have to go out and find the thing, put it into the software and scan it. They're literally on Source Mogul for you to scan immediately. It's super easy, super beginner friendly. That's why I teach it, and I recommend it especially for beginners that are trying to learn, right? But let's look at some of the pricing structures, right? So to recap, right, you're getting 90% of what you can do, but it's the 90% that actually matters versus the tactical arbitrage, right? And on top of that, it's a lot cheaper. So first and foremost, you can get $30 off your free month. There's also a free trial, but you can get $30 off your first 3 months. So then for wholesale and for the online arbitrage versions of it, you're paying $67 a month for the first 3 months, right? And then if you don't like it, you can cancel. Now I know I have, you can try it for free as well, and I think it might be a 14-day free trial, so it's longer than tactical arbitrage. Let me pull it up right here. So if you wanted to go with the free trial, it is, I'd have to find it. Where is the information? 7-day free trial. So it is 7 days as well. You can go that route with the Source Mogul as well. So the trials are the same right there, but it is a lot cheaper. If we look at it right here to recap, on tactical arbitrage, you're going to be paying $109 a month. On Source Mogul, you're going to be paying $97 a month for both of those, but you can get your first 3 months at $67 to try it out, right? So, I mean, ultimately, I like Source Mogul a lot better. I think it's so much easier to use. It saves you a lot more time as well. It's also easier to master for beginners, and it's a little bit cheaper. So for those reasons, I'd recommend Source Mogul. But hey, if you're doing tactical arbitrage, you didn't really say if you've tried that, but you said you've tried Source Mogul. If you're doing them both, try them both, right? Like this is just what I recommend and what works for me and for most students that I see, right? Because it's beginner friendly. But if you've tried tactical arbitrage and you're seeing results with it, stick with it. There's a bunch of different ways. That's why I always teach like multiple ways. You don't just have to stick with like the way that I teach or like the software that I recommend. That's just like my recommendation and what works for me and what I teach to most people. If you see something that's working for you that's different, try it. And if it works for you, then stick with it, okay? So a perfect example of that for like people in the Facebook group is like, I know that a lot of people in the Facebook group use Inventory Lab to save time when they're managing their inventory and like their sales and their profit, right? And like their P&L, right? Their profit and loss. I don't do that. I like to do it. It's very easy for me to just do it with an Excel spreadsheet. I don't do that. But like a lot of people like to do that and do that, right? So if you find something that works for you, if you like tactical arbitrage better, just stick with it, man. So